recording. Okay, so we're having a conversation, so we just decided to record it anyways because this is so much better to have the conversation live. But we've been trying to record for a while now and we just haven't gotten to it. So we're like, okay, you know what? Let's just record anyways. It's
Work
cold.
Conversations.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Work conversations. this is work time and we're having conversations. Anyways, so here's a conversation that I brought up, right? For me personally, I've been trying to I can't even say it like that. So for a while now, we've been really trying to help people that are kind of like us. So like us pretty much means like people that are raised in the diaspora.
Yeah.
Or people that came when you came to school. So
Yeah.
So anyways, so you have an African background, but you grew up in either America, the West, whatever. But essentially America, because that's what we're familiar with. I don't know what the
America,
UK is.
Canada. Similarities with UK, but hey, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, anybody in the West will be able to kind of relate, I guess.
Yeah.
So, but you grew up in African households, right? You grew up in African households. And so there are a lot of tools that are like just normal to everybody else that you didn't get, in a sense. That doesn't even ring true. Like you don't even know that you don't have those tools.
You were not allowed to have those muscles, those tools.
You didn't develop them.
You didn't develop them. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're talking about relationships, okay? We're talking about relationships, and predominantly I bring up the issues and then we have conversations and then he gives the male perspectives and I kind of just chime in a sense or whatever. But what we're talking about is I have found that a lot of diaspora girls that are from the African background, maybe other cultures, I don't know, but just don't have the tools to be able to get a mate. Like basic tools you need to get a mate. And then when you go to try to, okay, so it's like you're trying to play the game, but you don't understand the rules of the game.
Yeah. It's a lot of cultural, religious upbringing perspectives, right? So you have a lot of these girls that I meet and talk to or just interact with. They're like, well, the man is supposed to come to me. Well, true, but you can't just sit in an environment that the man is not in and expect him to come to you, right? So who's in your environment that's going to come to you? Or you want the man to come to you, but you've not given him any indication that you're
has to be a token
interested in him. Because you have to think about it realistically, right? In today's world, and especially, well, not just in the West anymore, in the world in general, there is, no offense, an abundance of women. There is a lot of girls throwing themselves at guys, right? So now you're now even faced with two issues, because you have these girls who are ready for a serious relationship. They want to meet a man, they want to get married, they want to settle down, but they're like, I'm tired of hanging out with these guys. Well, you have to separate the guys who are still playing or the guys who are ready for a relationship. That's the first thing. But
they don't even know how.
Yeah.
Like, how are you supposed to separate? Like, we're talking about girls that just feel like if guys are being nice to them, that there's something going on. No, a guy could be nice to you and not have any interest in getting to know you as a partner or sexually or whatever. Guys can just be nice too without any interest. So it's like, how do you know? How do you know that a guy likes you? That's a good question. How do you know a guy likes you? Let's start there. How do you know when a guy likes you?
So I think maybe we're one step ahead, right?
Oh, yeah,
but I think we need to talk about how do you give a guy an indication that you're interested, right?
Oh, that's easy.
So let's assume this is we're talking about the issue of not having a man, right? That's the same issue, but different causes. So for those who you're not really sure how to talk to these guys, let's talk about that first. How do you indicate to a guy that you're interested, but you want him to come for you, right? So you're not necessarily going after him, But you have to give him something. So how do you do that?
Oh, that's easy. No. Okay, so like how I would do it?
Yes.
Oh, you smile. You smile, you be cute, right?
Yeah.
I would smile at you.
Okay. So this is in person. Okay.
Yes,
So over social
it's
media.
Over social media, I would say it.
How would you say it?
I think you're cute.
And just leave it, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to like go after him, but give him something.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh
right?
my God, I really think you're cute.
Now, so that's first step.
Yeah.
Now, if he's also interested in you, then he now has the clear indication that, okay, she thinks I'm cute. Okay, maybe something's going on.
Yeah.
Let me see where it goes. Now, if he's not interested, he might not. So it doesn't have to be
Yes, but
messy.
okay, but,
right?
but I think you're cute can also like a guy that's not really wanting a serious thing can also take that as like she thinks I'm cute, I'm gonna get laid.
Well,
You know?
This is where step 2 comes in, where
Oh, yeah.
you now see
If it's a boy
which is a boy
or a man.
still playing, or
Okay.
somebody who's ready
I
to
see.
settle down, right? So
Yeah.
then you now, and that's really the part where I do actually feel bad for some of these girls, because it's not like they're not trying. It's not like they're not putting themselves out there, because when you are that girl who you've been in several relationships, right? And you're talking to people and they're saying, well, you need to put yourself out there. But they're like, I've been putting myself out there. But they're ending up with these guys that are just playing. So this is where you now really need to be smart. In the first few interactions, you will know a guy
Oh,
who
for
is ready
sure.
to settle down,
For
or
sure.
who is still playing. Now, are there guys out there who know how to play the game? They're gonna act like they're ready to settle down, but they're really not ready, because they just say it in words, not in action, right? Step 1, how do you know a guy who's ready to settle down?
Ooh.
Listen to what he's saying,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
Listen to not him saying, oh, I'm ready to settle down, I'm tired of all these games, I'm now ready to settle down. That's, for me, that's kind of like a red flag. He will start talking about his future, kids, talking about his family. He's not saying I'm ready to settle down.
He's
actually
aspirations.
saying the things that show you that he's at that place. He's thinking about kids. I'm ready to have kids. I've been thinking about, I was with my niece or my nephew, and I was thinking, hey, it's probably time for me to start, you know? So that's your indication. Somebody who's saying I'm ready to settle down, he's just saying it. You have to look for the things he says that really give you that futuristic picture that he's painting, and he's seeing himself in that now. Does that make sense?
It does. It makes perfect sense. But this is what the other thing that I've noticed as well is girls are very dismissive, extremely dismissive. Where like you're having conversation and their eyes glaze over, and it's like,
They've moved on.
did you hear what he said?
Yeah.
And if I'm the wingman, I'm standing there like asking all the questions, and
Yeah.
I've gathered more information about this person than you. They've checked out. First question, oh, what's your sign? Oh, I'm a Leo. Oh, I don't get along with those. Oh, I don't. And then that's a determining factor for the rest of the conversation versus like signs are not good. They're not. If you're going off of signs, because I know a lot of young people are going off signs, we shouldn't be together.
No. Well, but in fairness, right? And if you're somebody who goes by signs, this is what I would say, right? If you already know this person is not compatible with you, why are you spending hours on the phone with them?
Yes, but how do you know the person's not compatible with you just because of freaking signs?
Let's assume you're one of you believe in the signs, and you already know, okay, this is who you are compatible with. You have already dismissed the person. Oh, yeah, I don't work. This person doesn't work with me.
But you're still having conversations. You're still hanging
why?
out.
You're still hanging out. Why? Are you just trying to be friends? Like, you have to be clear on what you want as well. So if that is your belief system and how you operate, because I'm not against it, right? It works for some people. So you just have to know how to operate in that mode. So if this person is not somebody that works with you, move on. Don't entertain the idea of a relationship and then you go through the motions, and then the relationship doesn't work out, and then you say, well, I've always said I don't get along with Leos.
Well, Leos are fabulous. We are fabulous. Anyways, but no, I think
that
because
was just an example.
I know, but we're so awesome. No, I think, okay, because we had the conversation prior to recording, you know, we had a lot of the conversation already. And I think, so next time we just like record and then start the conversation because, okay, so we're not even touching on some of the points that we actually talked about. Like not being able to, not having the muscle. So it's like you have a bunch of people that are, you have 25-year-olds that in essence, if you had to like give an age to your relationship, you're like a teenager.
13-year-old.
Yeah, you're literally a teenager because you're right at the beginning of not having tools. And so now you're like, you have a lot of girls that are frustrated. They're like, I just don't understand what's wrong with me. What's wrong with me? I'm not getting picked, all these things. And it's like, no, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. It's just that you are not, you don't know the rules to the game. And honestly, attracting a mate is like a game. It's like a really nice dance. Forget what everybody else says or whatever and stuff like that. You can, all these people don't change. Fundamentally, things like this don't change. Yes, we can have technological advancements and all these things that like are shifting or progressive. But as far as like males and females go, it's still going to be the old school rules that apply to getting a mate. So the first thing is first, the woman has always been the initiator of the relationship. Always been the initiator. I don't know with this thing where it's like, oh, no, the guy has to come after you. Guys don't just come after you. Like if you think of like Adam and Eve in the garden, God paraded her in front of Adam. He had to see her. Some of y'all don't even leave your houses. You're sitting in your houses watching Nigerian movies all day long. You invite your friend. You go hang out with other single people, other single girls that have issues, right? This is like, that have issues with like, okay, you sit there and you mock relationships. You sit there and you talk about other people's relationships. You're not even entertaining like how you would have a progress. Like it's not even the right atmosphere or the environment to be able to foster a real relationship. And the other thing that was really bothering me too when we had the conversation was like, the other aspect that bothers me is like, girls are so fake. Girls are fake. You remember when we used to have the conversations in the house where like us girls would sit down and we're all married girls. We're sitting down at the table and we would try to have conversations about sex. And like, you'd leave the conversation like wondering, you're like, okay, Jesus, nobody's doing it? But it's a lie. It's a freaking lie because everybody just felt like the Christian thing to do was like, what is it? You have to, you can't be wild or give the portrayal of like being a wild child because that's not ideal. And so everybody has to be all like prim and proper.
And him coming after you all the time.
And we were like, I'm like, but seriously though, this is stupid. So I'm like, I don't even want to have conversations with these girls no more because this is so dumb. I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to learn things. We're supposed to help each other, right? And so I feel like that's the same settings for like girls now where it's like you're getting together, you're saying a bunch of nonsense that's not helping each other out. And then we're like, oh, we're girlfriends. Where though? You're not helping each other. Versus like, I think real conversations actually help. If you know that you don't have the tools, okay, fine. How do I get the tools? And that's what
we're talking about, right? You have to initiate. How do you initiate? Like you were just talking about, like smile.
You have to smile. It starts with a
smile.
Tell
the guy he is cute if
Tell
you're
him,
interested. Right?
Compliment. Guys love compliments. Like baby. They love compliments. Guys love compliments. I compliment guys all the time. You see me do it, and you see how the guys, they beam.
They beam and they light up.
They beam. Like, they're like, why the heck are you married? Because guys love compliments. Like, oh my goodness, you have a beautiful smile. I love your mustache. I love your beard. I like your hair. It's really nice. What do you use? That's a conversation starter. Like, you can meet anybody and have these conversations. It doesn't have to be like this thing where it's like, okay, I'm only asking people in my settings or whatever and stuff like that, the questions that I need. Get out of your house. Your father's house is not where you should be if you're trying to find a husband. Like, I like being at home. I'm an introvert. We cannot all be introverts.
Well, right.
I am so tired of the narrative.
We're getting into the environment, right? Because we're talking about the environment, which is a big factor. Because if you actually start, they have what the criteria, requirements, whatever you want to call it, the things that they want in your mate.
Yeah.
Now, but the real question is, we're not really sitting down and thinking that, okay, based off of all of these things that I want in my mate, in this setting that I'm in, I'm not sure what you want me to do.
I want you to warm my fingers.
You should speak up.
I'm sorry.
This is what we're trying to tell them.
I'm sorry.
Speak up.
See, it's actually been an issue though, because growing up in the African household, you don't talk about how you feel. So you get to be an adult and you don't know how to talk about how you feel or what is it like. You can't even articulate your needs, and then so you're in a relationship, and that was my biggest struggle. It's like I'm still struggling telling myself, but like you don't even know how to like articulate what it is that you. But I was trying to warm my hands.
Yeah. Now you spoke up, so you're good. I got you.
But what was wrong with what I did though?
I was wondering, like, what's she doing?
I'm
like,
putting my hands under your pits like this, because that's the warmest part.
But I'm like, what is she doing?
It's either that or your crevices. This is warming me up.
Okay.
Okay.
That works.
Finish what you were saying. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Right. Back to environment.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of us don't sit down and really ask this question, right? In my environment, in my circle, who meets all of this criteria? Because, I mean, unless if we're praying for a miracle, right? No, that's just the truth. You have to, you get linked up in your circle.
That's true.
Right? Because think about it, in the American setting, when you're in high school, kids are already pairing up in high school.
Yeah.
And from there, they get married. I mean, they don't necessarily get married right
Not
away.
everyone, but like...
But some get married in high school. And then those who didn't get paired up in high school, in college,
they're meeting somebody.
They're meeting someone. Now, it's easier because in high school, in college, you had
the tools. Like all the flirting in like middle school, junior high, high school, it was training ground. You were looking for certain attributes that you didn't like, or maybe
it's supposed to be training.
It's supposed to be training
because
ground.
Now the issue with the diaspora kids is either with
you
religion
weren't allowed.
or rules, you weren't allowed.
Oh,
so you never.
You cannot have a boyfriend. You cannot have a boyfriend, especially if you're a girl. The boys do.
The boys, well,
the boys
do to
dabble.
a degree. Yeah.
The boys dabble, but the girls, the kids now are wild. They're like, ooh, it's because millennials are now. It's our kids. It's our generation. Anyways, but like, it was like I guess we're talking to millennials essentially, right? Because if you weren't allowed to do certain things and you didn't develop the tools or you didn't develop the muscles to be able to do those things, then it's harder for you to do those things. It's harder for you to put yourself out there. It's harder for you to sum up the courage to go up to the opposite sex and talk to them. It's hard. It's hard because, and every time you talk to the opposite sex, chances are you will friend zone yourself.
Yes.
Period.
It's very easy to friend zone yourself.
You will friend zone yourself because, first of all, you need to learn the art of being sensual. You need to learn the art of being flirty. All those things were skills that we're supposed to like develop. And the American culture is this, right? Generally, I think it's white America. White America is really good at it. It depends on where you live too, though. But white America is really good at like high school. You're graduating. You get to college. By the time you're graduating from college, you either have lined up a mate or you're going to find it in a year or 2 years. After that, you're getting married. That's kind of how it's like situated. Because those are the best environments for you to actually find somebody.
And you have a large pool because think about it.
You have social clubs.
Thousands of
you have social clubs. You have all these things that you're supposed to go to. It's not just well, you go to class, you go back home, you go back to your dormitory, you go back to wherever you're supposed to mingle. School is about networking, not about necessarily the classes that you're taking. It's about networking. And so you go to school, you didn't network, you didn't do any of that. You're very serious about your classes, graduated top of your class, you're in your career field. Who are you meeting? At the office? I'm pretty sure the guy at the office is already like spoken for.
A lot of companies don't even allow you to do that.
Date within the company.
And who's gonna resign because they fell in love with you? No, like I'm keeping my job. I worked hard for this job. I'll find somebody outside of work.
If you find me at work, you wouldn't quit your job?
Depends on the job.
I'd quit my job so you can have your job so we can be in a relationship. I'm old school. I do not care. I'm like, no, I was telling someone.
See that coming.
No, you didn't see it. I was telling someone, I'm like, okay, so all these like girls are putting out all this energy of like, oh my God, I'm an independent. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop. You're throwing your hormones off. Like, we have so much to talk about though. Like, if you have questions, please do ask questions. I think we can, let's have open, honest dialogues about it. Podcast.
I was just gonna say, one of the things we talked about too is going to the wrong community to get your solution.
That's
right?
true.
The fact that they have the same problem, it doesn't mean it was caused by the same thing.
That's true.
You really have to look at your background, look at your circumstance, right? To really see you can't be a diaspora kid and looking at what African Americans, Black America, or white America for your solution, because they operate differently.
Yeah.
So their cause is probably not your cause. So you have to really find those that understand your background and the issues associated with your background.
Yes.
You know. So,
and even if you're a young person that's listening, right, and you're trying to step out, you're going to have to make those decisions regardless of if your parents approve or not.
yeah.
You don't need your parents' permission to foster these muscles, because you need these muscles, right? And if you're an African parent also watching, your children are dying.
Yeah, because you know how,
literally your girls, and then now they're like, "I God, what do we do? Do we go back to Nigeria? Do we go back to Nigeria to go and marry your husband?"
It's was it an epidemic? Literally, that's what it is.
It's an
You
epidemic
have
at this point.
Diaspora kids who are in their 30s and they're looking for a spouse.
Diaspora.
It's not. The cause of it happened when they were growing up, and you had all these rules, religion, and all these things that didn't allow them to learn. So you have 13, 14, 15-year-old kids who are 35. Well, they're 13, 14, 15 in terms of dating and relationships.
Yeah.
And you don't expect them to get married. Well, their biological clock is ticking, but their dating clock is still a teenager. Like a 13-year-old. So.
Or experiential knowledge, or like just the muscle in that department is literally teenage years. Teenage years. You literally, I've seen 40-year-olds like Nigerian background, like West African background, especially Nigerian. You're literally 30-something, 40-something, and it's like you don't have. I'm not talking about history of like going out to date a bunch of people, but you don't even know how to talk to the opposite sex. You either religion creeps up and rises to the surface of the thing, and then you start, I'm looking for a godly man. I'm looking for this man. Okay, well, how about I just have a conversation?
Well,
just have a conversation to the end.
Speaking of religion, sometimes when especially when they go through a relationship that doesn't work out, then they start beating themselves up. Okay, I should have kept myself. I should have done this. I should have done that. That's why it didn't work. Sometimes it's not.
It happened. Move on. Let's go. God has forgiven you. Let's go.
You know what I mean? Like,
next.
But it doesn't even allow them to properly learn.
Because you're feeling shame.
Yes, it doesn't.
You're feeling
yes,
guilt.
It doesn't
because
allow
the
them
environment fostered that.
Thank you. Because sometimes the reason why it didn't work was probably because of your attitude. It was probably because you guys weren't compatible.
Yeah.
But you didn't allow yourself to actually analyze and see that, so you don't make the same mistake in the next relationship.
Yeah.
You only stayed in guilt and beat yourself
Projected
up.
too.
And then you go into the next relationship and you do the exact same thing and it doesn't work again. And hey.
And sometimes the problem is not the other person. A lot of the times. 99.9999. The problem is
Us. Yeah.
ourselves. And so you have to like ask yourself, like, what am I doing wrongly? Do I have the tools?
What can I do differently?
What can I learn? What can I do differently? Where can I actually go to find people that are like me? I think something that was really helpful for us is, even in our house, we would have conversations with a lot of young people with like, hey, let's have conversations about marriage, real relationship discussions, because from people that are married, you can actually hear the truth. And yes, I get a lot of people don't tell the truth, but there are people who tell the truth. Find people who are truthful. Find people's relationships that you actually emulate, and then be in their environment. Because quickly you'll find out like, oh, I thought I liked your relationship. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want that. Like, you hang around them good enough, you'll know, okay, I like this, I don't like that. I kind of like that. Maybe I can do it. Maybe I can like compromise on that or whatever. And then you can start putting together an accurate list of things versus just blindly going off of like maybe shows or like what you've been told or you read in a freaking book. That stuff will frustrate you because it's not reality.
It's not.
It's not reality. We're watching what's the show? The Married at First Sight.
Oh God.
And it's trash. It's trash. You have a bunch of grown people, even the guys. The guys are so. What, dude? It's annoying. It's annoying that you have a bunch of grown people that are living in fantasy world because maybe of social media, exposure to constantly seeing the same depictions playing out to you. Yes. Oh, we don't do conflict. Our relationship is perfect. We never argue. That's not a good thing, boo. It's not a good thing. That means somebody is secretly resentful of the other person. Yeah, that's what that means.
You need to argue to understand. I mean,
and
call it whatever you call it. Call it argue, call it discussion, call it
you
learning.
Will disagree.
Whatever you call it, right?
You are literally...
You need it to be able to learn about each other.
What did Miles Monroe say? He said it's literally the marrying of two histories.
Yep.
And how has history always shown us? History has a tendency to say, my history trumps your history. Yep. Therefore, my history is better than your history. But now trying to make both histories work together to create a new story is a completely different ballgame. And I think that's the hard part about relationships is the coming together. But anyways, ask your questions. We recorded for 27 minutes. Yeah. God dang. Anyways, ask your questions. And we didn't talk about a lot of things.
We didn't. Like, even...
We have all these conversations
You were talking about how one of the things that's frustrating you is how the diaspora girls just, okay, I'm gonna sit here and my Prince Charming is
He's gonna come and just scoop me up. Just scoop me up. Where do you do that at? This is not Africa. And even in Africa, times are changing, boo. Like, no one's coming to pick you up. Okay, so culturally, obviously, maybe in our parents' time, I'm 36. But in my parents' time, it would be like, okay, that sister from church. I like that sister from church. I will go and pick her. I like her. Okay, who do I talk to pick her? Okay, cool. But are we still doing that though?
And it's not to say that doesn't happen.
It happens,
but that's
it's
the
so
outlier.
Rare.
Right?
Yes.
That's the outlier. That's not the
so
norm.
Rare. That's not the norm. Yes, you can be at church and the guy is like, oh, I really like her. But yeah, it's so different. But I think honestly though, one of the plays that I think Praise gave, my sister gave this play and she said, or like a mode of operation, like a hack, right?
A hack.
A hack is you go to a church, make sure that you are like literally established at a church, right? Find a church that has young people, youth.
Oh, okay.
People that are your own age.
Let's rephrase. A big enough church.
A big church.
That have single guys that meets the criteria you're looking for.
Boom!
So if you get there and there's nobody really, get yourself out. That's not the environment for you. Okay, continue.
We cannot all marry 6-figure guys. So maybe also could tell. Yeah, but then they're like, oh, but I'm not going to settle. Baby, you're running out of time. Let's try to reestablish these fine prints, okay? Because you don't the average income for two parties in America, like 2 income households, average 2-income people household. How do you even say that? Does that make sense?
2 income.
It's 60,000.
As in 2 people working.
2 people
is it
working.
60 or 75?
It's 60.
They're about 60 to
60,000.
75,000.
That is literally the average of 2 people working in a household, 60K. Now it's like, oh my God, I don't make 60K, but if he doesn't make 60K,
No, he
even
has
a
to
man?
make 6 figures, baby. He has to be making 120 to 150K.
I'm gonna judge him by his cologne, so. You guys, I don't know what you guys are doing, but you guys are miserable. Independently, you guys are miserable.
Okay,
Collectively,
you gotta circle back to the hack.
Yeah. Oh, the hack. Thank you for reminding me. You're so sweet. Okay. The hack is you go to this established church, right? And church works because if you're out of college already, church is a great community to start, right? Yes,
they're big enough.
There are douchebags at church too. Yes, we get it. And you too. You can also be classified as a douche. So you are in the church. You've been going for a while. Be consistent. Now you're going to get involved in the church because nobody knows you. You're going to get involved in the church and go to small groups. You have to go to small groups.
Yep.
If you're a lover of children, volunteer to take care of children. Not if you have bitch face tendencies. Nobody wants that around their child. It's the truth. Can you imagine you're walking in to pick up your child? I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, Papi, what was wrong with that teacher's face? Oh, I bet you she didn't smile the whole time. What? No, don't do that. Do not bring your presence. If your presence is not good, don't bring it to people. Fix your presence and then bring goodness to people, right? And that's huge.
The girls who work in the children department are the most recommended, right? Because the assumption is
you're nurturing.
You can take care of kids. And if you're looking for a guy who's ready to start a family and all of that,
you gotta be nurturing.
So they're thinking, okay, that will be a good match because she's good with kids.
Or their families will recommend you.
Yep.
They'll link you up. It'll be the blind date type situation, but they will link you up. People will talk about you. Your news will be spread abroad. That's kind of like God answering prayers because your name will be carried to and fro. Is it to and fro?
Pretty much.
Okay, to and fro. To and fro. Anyways, but you get involved, go to small groups. Small groups gives you an opportunity to be able to have like minds and consistency. Because you can also like weed out those that are not serious. Males, you can weed out women that are not serious because they're just showing up to get a date. Girls, you can weed out guys that are also showing up because it's consistency. If I've showed up for 6 months and this guy is always there for 6 months, this guy is showing me something. He's consistent. Even at the gym, if I come to the gym for 6 months, a year, and the guy's there every single day, you're consistent. I want to know. I want to know you a little bit better. Doesn't mean you're marrying them on the spot because nobody does that. But you want to get to know them a little bit better. Consistency is huge because consistency will go hand in hand with like integrity or character.
That is basically the American system, right? They want to see, like in terms of companies that are looking for workers, they want somebody with a college degree. Not because the person with the college degree is better than somebody else who doesn't have a college degree. But for them, if you're able to go to college for 4 years, show up to your classes,
showed up every day, and you graduated,
you'll be able to do the same. So it's just...
You've already developed the muscles to be able to be consistent and dedicated to a task you set out to do. That's what people are looking for. And so the same thing with relationship. Is he a flake? Is she a flake? It's basic things like that. Like, do you say what you're going to do when you say you're going to do it? Is your yes, yes? Is your no, no? Or do you just like, I'm going to show up when I show up. And then you just don't, you ghost the person. Yeah. You know what I mean? Anyways, but that's our conversation for now. We will have more conversations. We want to have conversations along these lines. Along the lines of being independent, right? Because the other thing was
getting
out of your parents' house. They're not allowing you to be independent. They're not allowing you to explore. You're in the early 20s. That's the one that pisses me off the most. It's like you're in your early 20s. all your friends are exploring and developing skills and muscles, you're not allowed to be out of parents' sight and stuff. That's aggravating. It's very aggravating, because essentially what happens later on, you're like, everybody else is doing it, I don't know how. Oh, I feel some type of way. And it's so much harder when you're older to encourage yourself to get out there and do these things.
And I think for me too, it's I don't like extremes in general. So a lot of these kids, the relationship with the parents have to now get to this extreme level for them to now get out. It doesn't have to be that. You can get out, even though they don't support it, right? But you can be a child. You can get out, but also give your parents that respect that they deserve, right? And also be there for them. The fact that you now have your own place doesn't mean you neglect them. Come around. Be sweet to your mom. Be sweet to your dad. Like, come around, even though you have your own place, right? Let them see that you're being independent, but you're also the child being raised to be respectful, to be kind, to be thoughtful. So that's really why But then I can also understand, because sometimes out of frustration, you're like, I want to grow up. I want to do this myself. I want to try it on my own. And then out of frustration, you leave on bad terms. Right? Yes, that's what I'm saying. You have to do it so in a way so it's not
bad terms. So how does a person who left on bad terms, so say for example they like that disagreement, how do they mend that situation? That's a topic to definitely touch on as well.
Yeah,
like mending relationships. Our parents are really important. We don't negate the fact that they really sacrificed for us to be able. I mean, if you're a millennial, you know how hard your parents worked for you to be able to actually even like exist, honestly, right? And it's not fair that they rub it in your face every chance that they get, but at the same time they did, and that's worth appreciating.
Yeah.
And like, but I don't know. We have so many topics to talk about, because in our community, I find that like, in our community, we need to start having conversations, honest conversations that help us move forward.
There are certain statements that just keep people bound. Of I got my man, he pursued me. Well, you're saying this to somebody who you know is single, and they're thinking, well, I'm gonna stay and wait for my man to come. You should
never be the one who talks to guys or whatever, and still do it the old school way where they have to come to you, baby. But you sat there and you looked cute. That was a token. A token can be anything. You looked cute. You gave a smile. Something that allows him to approach you. Something, because if you're not smiling. Sorry, babe. If you're not smiling, if you're not giving him any inkling of like something he can work with, then what is he supposed to work with to approach you? Like, you got to give him a reason. My phone is dying, so my husband's plugging in my phone. Thanks, babe. That's really sweet. You have to give him a reason to approach you. There has to be a token, right? And so you smile. I always tell the story, like when me parading myself outside, carrying Bibles to the car unnecessarily, like as if my little brother and sister could not carry Bibles. I'm carrying Bibles outside, like anyhow, just carrying Bibles outside, just so you can see me one last time, because I will burn my image in your brain. And it works, because my mommy taught me well.
Yep.
Yeah, she did a fantastic job of grooming us to, like, literally teaching us all the tricks and trades. Like, your voice, your tone of your voice, being feminine, softening up. Like, they're just certain tricks to these things that people think is just like whatever. It comes naturally to some people, yes. But for some people, you have to learn. If you are in an environment that fostered it, even better. Right. But, like, some people are not.
And again, this doesn't stop you from being yourself, because I can hear people saying, well, I have to be myself. If you can't like me for me, then I don't want that man. No, that's not what we're saying. You can still be yourself, but you have to learn certain things.
You can learn to be flirty in your own way.
Yeah.
You can learn to be sensual in your own way. For me, like, the word sexy, throw it away, because we've been married 16 years, and I tell you all the time, I don't know how to be sexy. But there are things that I do that he thinks are sexy. I don't think of them as sexy. I would never describe anything I've ever done as sexy. That's just me. Yeah. But to someone else, Look for your own word. Maybe you're a flirty person.
Yeah, you have to. There's just it's the way God made male and female. There's just attributes. Just like think about it, right? As a girl, you're thinking, okay, I want a man who can take care of me.
Yeah.
Or I want a man who is strong, who can protect me. Or I want a man who is caring or thoughtful, right? Because then you're thinking that's what you're attracted to. So when he's displaying those characteristics, you're getting more attracted to him.
Yeah.
The same applies. A guy's thinking, well, generally I want a girl who's sexy. Well, whatever way you define sexy. I want a girl who's nurturing, right? I want a girl who is caring because she will take care of me. So when the guy sees you displaying those attributes, he's more attracted to you. So that's really what we're saying. You have to try to hone in on those skills that would attract or make you more attractive to the opposite sex.
Yeah, and that's it. Because I'm running out of space in my phone.
Yeah.
So
Till next time.
Till next time. Yeah?
Yeah.
Good job. Let's have these conversations. Let's help people. Let's help our community. Let's be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, good talk.
All right, good talk. All right. This is